Welcome to Inspire and Move, the show that inspires you to create, connect, and grow. I'm going to bring you meaningful conversations, aha moments, and all the motivation you need to up-level every part of your life. I'm Ali Aruda, founder of Inspire and Move, and your personal hype girl. I've gone from fashion school to celebrity stylist to corporate marketing to brick-and-mortar entrepreneurship with my husband, each time learning incredible lessons how to pivot, reimagine, and implement the steps to become successful. I'm passionate about inspiring others to live their best life, a life of joy. We have the power to design a life that we love, because life is too short not to. The best part is that you weren't meant to do this alone. If you feel like you are meant for more, let me ride shotgun with you, and together, let's get you to where you want to go. Okay, I'm like so enthralled in what you're saying. Tell me more.
I'm a nutrition specialist, but clearly I have a passion for that as well, right? Like I could go on forever.
Yes. Well, I actually would love to know more about like when you were testing this on yourself. And I'm just intrigued too, because I feel like I can implement this immediately for myself, because I'm probably, I would absolutely probably identify with like maybe an overtrainer,
Yep.
loves to move. Like I have actually gotten over the last at least year, maybe longer, diligent at like Sundays are rest days or active recovery in terms of just like a long walk and, cold plunge, red light therapy, those types of things. But
Yes.
I don't touch any weights on Sundays.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah.
But I'm similar to you where I strength train 3 times a week, and I have a HIIT day on typically Saturdays, and then I'll do 2 cardio days of some form of intervals.
Yep.
But I would love for you to go a little bit deeper in terms of when you were testing this on yourself with the recovery tools, tactics, nutrition, what you would decide to implement when you were testing this on yourself to then get to the other side where you were able to lift heavier and have even greater results.
Yeah. You know what? I don't know. It was really a trial and error in education of it all. And I feel like it differs person to person, right? Like some people have a faster recovery process than others. Age plays a role, hormones play a role. And so I spent 24 weeks with like a protocol, figuring out, okay, if it's 3 days a week and I want these are my muscle like I want to hone in on my shoulders and my glutes and my quads or whatever. So like I programmed it all out. And I always made sure I had those rests in between. I never did any form of cardio. In fact, I didn't do anything higher than moderate intensity. I hate cardio, but I really wanted to reduce it because I almost wanted to figure out my personal baseline, I guess. Again, because everyone has a different recovery rate, I guess. And so because cardio isn't my strong suit, I really wanted to reduce inflammation, kind of start from ground zero, figure out what actually works for me and what biofeedback I can get from myself to be like, oh, this is working. Oh, I don't have as much DOMs, or like, oh, I'm progressing in my weights in a really much more like efficient, methodical way, or whatever the case is. And so, yeah, I really definitely stripped it back, prioritized my nutrition. I did my walks daily. I cut out all HIIT. I was literally, before I was training 5 days a week plus like a high intensity day. And then I would have an active recovery. And for me, it was like, that was too much. Like I noticed my mood was different. Like my mood improved, my sleep improved. I was hungry, but when I was doing too much, I was like ravished. I was just starving. So I would overfeed. I wasn't able to kind of like have a good handle on my nutrition, all of that stuff. And so I was like, wow, yeah, the recovery is real. And then of course, tracking your training sessions, I'd look at my data and be like, I can't believe how much I'm progressing, but I can't believe how much I'm progressing while feeling good. I think that was a huge thing because it was like I didn't have any issues with my knee. I was able to like my low back wasn't aching. I was really optimizing my training sessions for my body. And I was like, oh, so I don't have to train 6 days a week. Cool.
Wow. Okay. And now what if you're someone who, again, like myself, like exercise for me is a non-negotiable in terms of my performance as a business owner, but also my mental health.
Yes, absolutely. And
How
I
does
feel
that
like
correlate?
Yeah, and everybody again is a little bit different. So like I have a client who she's a nutrition and lifestyle client. She lives in Europe, so she has a trainer and she goes to the gym, and she's very high achieving and she's amazing and has an amazing career. But I was like, I'm not your fitness coach, but training 5 days a week plus 2 conditioning days plus running long distance 4 days a week is actually not beneficial. Like she was a beast.
Oh,
And so
wow.
it took a long time for me to be like, hey, I'm not telling you you have to cut. She loved running. That was her therapy. I was like, I'm not telling you you have to cut that out. I'm not saying that you have to remove anything, but let's kind of look at all of these moving parts and optimize it and refine it a little bit. So I did talk to her about like potential junk volume, like less is not more. If you're hitting your glutes or whatever more, it doesn't mean that your muscles are responding to that, because if they're fatigued, you're not lifting close to failure. And the only way to build muscle is progressive overload, right? So you really have to like trust that sometimes taking things away is going to be helpful. And then like in terms of your runs, even though I felt like with all of her training, including conditioning, I felt like the runs were a bit overkill. I said, do not remove them, because that's the only time that you can like turn your brain off. It balances out your nervous system. So while it might be adding a little bit of fatigue or inflammation to your body and maybe stunting some of your recovery, it outweighs, right? It's the mental aspect is worth maybe some of that cost of recovery in terms of building muscle. So everybody I treat differently, but we can't do it all. I mean, some people can, but we don't have to do it all. And so it's like, what are the priorities? What are your goals? I mean, if you want to train 3 days a week, then it's whole body, maybe focusing on extra for the muscle groups that you want to grow for that mesocycle, let's say, and then still doing that hit, but maybe making sure that it's after a full recovery day, and then having low to moderate intensity steady state cardio instead of feeling like you have to go for sprints to burn off calories, right? Like how can we adjust this and time it in the week where we are going to optimize that? And so it isn't a one size fits all. It's like you can do all of those things. It's just like listening to your body and maybe timing it, or maybe like making those little tweaks.
Okay, I'm gonna re-audit my training schedule now after our conversation today.
Hey, it's been working for you this long, but I just feel also like as we age, like 40,
Mm.
it's like maybe, and again, when you're an experienced lifter, there's so much less muscle fibers that are required for recruitment. It's almost like getting the last little bit. And sometimes doing too much isn't allowing those last muscle fibers for stimulation to really fire up, because then it kind of turns into that junk volume. So any of my advanced lifters, when I have scaled it back, they're actually able to perform far better in their big lifts, because they're not tired going into that training session, because they didn't go hard the session before, right? And so you're actually able to like dig a little bit deeper, go a little bit harder. And so I do find that the switch up is more noticeable with seasoned lifters versus beginners.
And what about deload weeks? Do you weave those into your clients' programming or for yourself?
You know what? It kind of, that all depends. So because I'm very, if you haven't noticed, I'm a little rigid on making sure there is recovery.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah, there doesn't necessarily have to be deloads when if someone's following my plan, because like so basically what I do is I have their program built out, but I say like your first 2 sets are your working warm-up sets. So they're not a warm-up, but you're not hitting like close to proximity to failure. You're building up to that. Your last set, I want you to go as hard as you can until you're almost at failure, like you cannot do that movement anymore, right? And then you're going to have a longer rest. So I plan all of that out. And so I'm a little bit of a stickler with all of that. But you know what, it works out. I don't know, like it's just like an intuitive thing when I structure it. And so I'm very much, I'm like, okay, let's listen to your body too, because like you have autonomy to decide outside of the programming. Like Are you feeling fatigued or are you hitting failure? You might notice that too when people are doing like high reps. I'm kind of going off on a tangent, sorry.
I'm
When
here
people
for
are
it.
doing like high reps, you can hit proximity to failure, but you're much more likely to have the sensation of fatigue first. So just because your muscles are burning, just because your mind is like, oh, we're almost done, doesn't actually mean you're hitting close to failure, which means you're not necessarily progressively overloading, which means you might not actually be building muscle. So it's kind of, I really like to be hands-on so that my clients can be like, oh, I actually wasn't pushing. Like I actually was able to do 3 more reps, no problem. Right. And it's like, okay, let's move up in weight. And just making sure that we have that recovery like woven in there. It actually jump starts or kick starts that progress a little bit more. So yeah, I'm very like, this is how we do it. This is how we figure out proximity to failure. This is your rest. This is like the rest time. This is when you do 3 minutes. This is when you do whatever. So yeah, it's very much like hands-on learning experience.
Okay, well, speaking of learning experience, we need to talk about peptides because I know
Yeah.
you have really welcomed a new hat into the business that you run as
Mhm.
a peptide performance coach. And
Yes.
I have been loving watching I don't even want to say pivot because I feel like it's got to be a really beautiful addition to your
Yes.
business and the services that you offer your clients.
Mhm.
But I'm still pretty much in the novice camp of what peptides are.
Fair.
So, super basic question, what are peptides?
Yeah. So peptides are essentially short chain amino acids, and they are the communicators for your cells to do whatever it is they're telling your cells to do. And we produce peptides naturally in our body, thousands of peptides. So it's like they're the communicators for our metabolism and hormones, recovery, building muscle, weight loss, hair, collagen production. It's endless. Like they literally are the communicators of telling our body how to function.
So, why are they getting so much attention right now? I feel like peptides are so hot.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's so funny because I've been in this space for 2 years now, prepping with a team of physicians that I'm collaborating with. And all of a sudden, I like woke up one day and I'm like, everyone is talking about peptides now. It's wild. And I'm not surprised because I mean, peptides have been, in terms of performance peptides and like composition peptides, they've been around forever, mostly in the bodybuilding space. They sometimes get confused with like steroids and whatnot, which is not, they're not in the same space at all. But I feel like because a GLP-1, that's a peptide. So I feel like just the understanding of those peptides alone and the mass access now and understanding, it makes sense that now people are like, oh, what else is there? What else can we do? What more can we have access to? So peptides have been around forever. It's just now they're mainstream. And I mean, maybe it's an FDA push. Maybe it's, I'm not entirely sure, but I'm pretty sure it would stem from the GLP-1s.
So when you're saying how it's like it's not a steroid, if someone was an Olympic athlete, would they have the green light to incorporate peptides?
Not necessarily. So I know, like for example, and it all depends. A lot of sports ban, so it's BPC 157, which is like an injury recovery as well as a gut health peptide. And so depending on the sport or the league, that I actually just saw a post where there was a bodybuilding I don't know
Competition?
what it was, and they actually banned it, which was interesting because it's a recovery, so it's not like it doesn't promote
It's
physique
not your
necessarily.
performance
Yeah,
enhancing.
it doesn't do that inherently in itself. And then there are some that can indirectly positively change your body composition, like CJC. When I see now I can't. We'll just call it CJC. Um,
There. I'm
and
like,
that is,
yes, ma'am.
yes, right. There, it's so funny. Some of the names, it's just like, sure, why not? But CJC and ipamorelin are more of like they're a recovery, but it is more of like a systematic recovery. So it allows you to perform better at the gym. It allows you to push a little bit more. You have more energy. And so in turn, and it improves your metabolism. So in turn, that is going to change your body composition as long as you have the foundation in place of like diet and exercise. And so, yeah, those, depending on, again, the sport and the league, may or may not be banned, but they're not an illegal substance. Some peptides are. There are regulations. They're not legal in Canada, ironically enough. But in the States, the FDA will have some approved and then they'll kind of take it back. And so there is a bit of an ebb and flow with them. But there is a massive list of major ones that are approved in the US for use that you can actually get prescribed by a physician or a nurse practitioner. So yeah, it really just depends on the sport and the peptide itself.
It's so interesting, and I'm really enjoying, and thanks to you and your content, like I'm able to be around content that will educate me more. But how would a peptide, whether it's, a GLP-1 or whatever it is that you are prescribed, how does that fit into your routine when it comes to, all right, your strength training, recovery, let's call it, vitamins and minerals, more your like natural supplements. How does peptides fit in?
So while it's not directly a supplement, because the difference is a supplement, you're actually adding a raw material into your body, like not foreign, but like a vitamin, let's say. This is something that already exists in your body, and it's for your body to communicate. So it's not like you're putting something in your body to build muscle. It communicates so that you can maybe build muscle, right? So, but for the lack of a better term, let's call it a form of supplementation. It's in addition to. So if you are wanting to progress in the gym or change your body composition, you still have to do the work. You still have to do the things. It just enhances and it I don't even want to say speed up, but it optimizes your body so that you can get to these results a little bit quicker, a little bit more efficiently. And like, I mean, you kind of feel like a superhuman, to be totally honest.
Well, I hear like it's all my American friends, or not all of them, but it's a handful of my American friends that are in the US that are incorporating peptides into their routine, their wellness routine, and they feel freaking amazing. And I'm
Yes.
like kind of envious.
I know, right? And it's so frustrating, but that's really what it does. And so you're not the way I like to have people understand what's going on is like, think of it from a hormone perspective, an HRT. So we naturally produce our hormones, right? For whatever circumstances, maybe it's perimenopause, external factors, whatever, our body maybe doesn't produce a hormone. So maybe we need to integrate HRT. It's the same thing. Factors, age, whatever the circumstance, our body slows down production of certain peptides. So really, we're just integrating what we already have and just building it back up. So it's not like we're putting steroids in our body. We're not doing anything that's like obscure. We're just topping it up to maybe where it should be. So that the hormone analogy is kind of like where people are like, oh, okay, I get it. And because you're doing that, your body's functioning on a holistic perspective more optimally. So because like, like everything is intertwined, right? Like if your sleep is quality and quantity is down, that's going to affect your hormones. And if your cortisol is spiked, that's going to affect that and your muscle recovery and your weight loss and everything. And then of course, like mental health. So everything is so deeply intertwined. And so if you have something to help experience maybe better quality sleep, well, that in turn is going to help inflammation and recovery. So that might also help hormone balance that. And then when you wake up, if you have a good quality of sleep, you're able to perform better at the gym. You're able to show up differently. So it's almost like a ripple effect. Of course, I mean, one peptide won't fix all of the things or course correct all of the things, but there usually is a bit of a ripple effect that occurs because you're just, again, I hate to use such a buzzword, but like you are optimizing your body's natural function.
Well, I think that optimizing is something that a lot of us want to achieve, whether it is in, health, fitness, and wellness.
Mhm.
if it is in business. And it kind of goes back to what we were saying at the very beginning, even talking about like coaching in masterminds, that Matt and I will say this often, that being in masterminds is like the shortcut in business, that you are going to get where you want to be
Yes.
quicker. And you're also probably going to go farther because
Mhm.
of the collective support from your mentors and your peers.
Yeah.
And it's the same whether you're looking at, an entrepreneurship lens or you're looking at a lens that's focused on health and fitness.
100%. Yeah. And that's such a great analogy because I kind of feel like, I guess, my position is a bit of a mastermind, right? Like we're putting all these pieces together, we're creating this toolbox so that there can be more efficiency with you and reaching your goal, right? Like we
Mhm.
still need to have the lifestyle, the nutrition, the training protocol. We still need to make sure that we're hitting our fiber, our water, like all of these things, but we can also have our supplements and our peptides and really integrate, and the mindset work, which is what I do a lot of. And so like really integrating that into one experience so that you can be a better version of yourself.
Well, and who doesn't want to be a better version of themselves? I mean, that's something that
Right?
I want to do, like every day, like day over day, week over week, month over month, year over year.
Exactly.
But I guess like that's not for everyone. And I think that's, we've been trying to even use a lot of content like that in our marketing for our gym, that, hey, this is who we're for, but this is also who we're not for.
Yeah, 100%. And it can also be a really scary place too, right? Like in order to be a better version of yourself, sometimes you have to face demons.
Mhm.
And that's a tough thing. So there's no fault or flaw if someone's not ready to go there, but I think people need to know that they can have people in their corner to help them get through that. And they
And
don't have to
asking for help is totally okay.
yeah.
But that's what you have the professionals for. So if it is, someone like yourself where you're like, okay, I'm doing this, this, and this when it comes to my health and fitness routine, but I feel like I need something more to just like bring everything together.
Exactly.
Boom. Peptide performance coach.
Exactly. 100%.
Do we think there's a world where we're going to have easier accessibility to them for us Canadian peeps?
Oh man, you know what? I hope so. So I've done such a deep dive. So I mean, we all know that healthcare systems and everything, it's political, it's insurance, it's money, blah, 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 but there's also safety factors. And so I did a huge deep dive because I'm like, I reject that Canada is so delayed on this. I've even spoken to Canadian physicians and they're like, it's painful to know what is out there that we could have access to. And it's simply because, like, our health, this is from my understanding, because it's a public healthcare system, there isn't as much financial gain. So there isn't going to be people to back the process to have these things approved by Health Canada. And so it's up to the government to kind of fund that. So it's a funding thing. So what I've learned, what Canada typically does is we won't approve drugs or medications. Like we still have our due diligence in our process, but we won't start that process until it's gone through the US and Europe. So, with that being said, we have a little bit ways to go because Europe isn't there yet either.
Oh,
But
perfect.
I know, but because it is a little bit of like a profit thing, right? Like money at the end of the day, because there's such an influx in interest, I suspect that will speed up the process for when Canada finally kind of jumps on board with it. Even with some of the big ones, like the BPC is like a huge one. Like people even in the States, surgeons will prescribe that for recovery from surgeries because it exponentially speeds up the process, right? Or like torn, like any kind of sports injury, that speeds up the process. So it's like, it's there. Oh my gosh. So I can't help but feel that maybe Canada will be more on board simply because there is so much more demand than there ever was before.
Oh gosh, I hope so versus like 2032.
I know,
I
right?
need some peptides.
I know, it's crazy. So I'm crossing my fingers. I mean, last time I did some research, it's not even on their radar. So those who don't
Awesome.
do teach, you know?
So we just need to find some nurse practitioners and doctors in the US
Yes.
and go
Yep.
there to get our
Yep.
peptides.
Well, and honestly, that's what I do. So like I'm aligned with different people in the United States. And so the reality is like you can go there and get your prescription. And this is something that I would like to put emphasis on because people can get peptides in the gray market. It's everywhere. You can Google it and you can buy them tomorrow. The issue is because, let's say with the United States, it's not regulated by the FDA, this gray market. You don't know where it's coming from. You don't truly know what it is. There are like a lot of places will give you test results in terms of like the product, but you don't know the efficacy of it. You don't know the sterility of the vials themselves. So the gray market exists. Sure, there's probably fine peptides out there that you could just buy online, but then there's also probably not. So I'm sure there's gonna be a lot, especially Canadians. I've had so many Canadian followers be like, well, how do I get them? And I'm like, I'm so sorry, I'm an asshole that I'm like talking about this, and you guys can't really get them, right? But and it's buy at your own risk, essentially. It's not illegal because they're for research purposes only, but I don't know where they actually come from. It could be the same lab, it could be a different lab. I don't know. So so if anyone listens and they start Googling it, they're going to find suppliers. It's just, you don't really know what you're getting.
Buy at your own risk.
Yeah, 100%. Right. I mean, who knows? Like maybe some people are like, I'm in so much chronic pain, I'm willing to take the risk. It's not something that I would ever promote from like a liability perspective, but to each their own. It's out there. What I will say is do your research, especially in Canada. I've noticed so many new research peptide suppliers that are like baby companies that are like posting ads on social media, which is weird because like it's illegal. So that's a major red flag right there. It's almost like fly by the night companies. And they're probably just like repurposing names. Like they're just trying to make a quick buck. So like ask questions, do your research. How long have they been in business? Like just because they have a flashy website doesn't mean that it's a reputable business. And that's why like a prescribing physician is like the way to go right now.
And when you are prescribed peptides,
Mm-hmm.
what is that like? Is it something you take daily? And then how long do you take them for?
Yeah. And so it all depends on which one. So, like a lot of them. So, okay. There are some like GLP-1s once a week, let's say. But the BPC, which is the recovery and gut health one, and like injury recovery, I should say, that one, it depends on the prescriber, I guess. I've heard people, depending on the dose, you can do it every day. And then some say 5 days on, 2 days off. And you essentially would do some like a cycle. So you might go 3 months on, 1 month off type of thing. It's not like a hormone replacement in that, let's say with testosterone, if you start taking it, your body essentially becomes like accustomed to the supplementation of it and you need it for life, right? It's not like your body becomes reliant on it, but it's still nice to cycle these things from a psychological perspective so that you kind of are like standing on grass a little bit. And it's like, okay, I don't need this. Like, I'm not addicted. Like they're not addictive, but the behavior of it, of being like, am I less than without my peptide? Am I going to not be as lean without my peptide? You know, like I feel like the break should happen. And I mean, the reality is like injecting yourself every day is exhausting.
Mm.
So like,
I would be terrible at that.
Yeah, right. And so most of them, most of the main ones anyways, will have like a cycle period where it's like either 1 month off or 2 months off, that type of thing. So, but a lot of them are daily. So yay.
You gotta do my peptides for me, babe.
I know, right? Like, but you know what? It doesn't hurt. Like it's the tiniest of syringe. I mean, it's essentially an insulin syringe, right? So, it's more daunting in terms of like, it feels so counterintuitive to self-inject, right? Like it just feels like such a weird thing to do, but it's like, there's no pain to it. As long as you're, again, being really sterile and clean, the risk is low, all of that stuff. But yeah, it can be exhausting. Like the process in itself it can be tiring after some time for sure.
But the benefits are worth it.
100%. Yeah. And it's not like something where the benefits completely reverse either, right? Like that's why the lifestyle optimization is so important, because I mean, few people are going to be on these things for life. Like that would be pretty unrealistic for many people, even from a financial perspective. But like, you can maintain some of this stuff even if those levels in your natural system are a little bit low. You can maintain the changes that you've made just by really instilling those lifestyle changes that are required.
Oh, Michelle, this has been such a good conversation.
Yes,
Thank you
oh my gosh,
so much for being here. Where can everyone find you if they want to follow you, they want to work with you? How can they find you?
Absolutely. So Instagram, Michelle.Kilduff. I also have my website, which is mkilduffcoaching.com. You can send me an email. I do primarily focus on the peptide performance coaching, but I also still offer lifestyle coaching as well. So if you're not quite ready for the peptide life, or maybe you're Canadian and you can't, we can still optimize your experience and help you reach your goals outside of that.
Thank you so much for being here, for your time and everything that you shared. I really love our conversation. So thank you so much.
I feel like we could go on forever.
I know, we totally could. Next up, we'll get a glass of wine and we'll do a little happy hour.
Perfect.
And for everyone listening, watching, thank you so much for being here. Make sure you go give Michelle a follow, give her some likes, give her some love on Instagram. And if you're ever so inclined and you would like to leave a 5-star rating and review, your girl would be so grateful. And until next time, we will see you soon. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. If you loved this episode, it would mean so much to me if you took a few seconds and shared this on social media, sent it to a friend, or left a 5-star review. There is power in community, and I'm so grateful to have you part of mine.